Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Steve and Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. On today's episode, probably the most exciting thing about today's episode, Larson, we got ourselves a cash-in. That's right. Jack Showtime has indicated that he is interested in cashing in. And the options, we're not just doing a couple points here and there. Nah. This guy has got like a 40% chance of winning, I think a 20% chance of pushing, and another 40% chance
Correct.
of losing, or something along those lines.
No,
He knows the deal.
If it's 40 to win, 20 to push, and then, yeah, it's 40 because that adds to 100%.
Maybe there's another 10 or 20% in there. I don't know.
That would be more than 100.
You're the math guy around here. And
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it'd be more than 100. Are we going to do that now, or are we going to wait till later? I feel like we should wait till later.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? We're going to wait till later so that people will continue to watch.
We're going to get through all the news. We're going to get through all the what do you want to talk about? Maybe before we do the AEW Dynamite recap, we'll do the cash-in. How about
I think that's a great idea, because then after the cash-in, and we're about to do AEW and NXT, we're on cruise control.
I kind of enjoyed quite a bit about Dynamite last night. But,
okay. Well.
All right, well, here we go. Let's talk about this. Seth Rollins' injury has been the talk of the wrestling world, not just because he's seemingly injured, but there's still the conversation. There's more to this, Steve, about whether it's real or not. So let's get to Seth Rollins. He spoke about the injury when he was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday.
They have him guest host, you know.
Yeah, guest
hosting. He wasn't
hosting,
just on there. He was doing the guest hosting duties. He's like Joan Rivers of the Rich Eisen show.
Yeah, because Joan Rivers used to guest host the Tonight Show a lot.
So old.
And then she got her own talk show.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You know who else used to guest host the Carson show? Jay Leno.
And then he got the Tonight Show.
Twice.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Let's just go.
Anyways, Seth Rollins, this is what we had to say about the injury. These transcripts come to you from PW Insider. Quote, you can see myself on the monitor right here. I look great. I'm not going to lie, but underneath this monitor, I do have a leg brace. Over in the corner on my crutches, this past Saturday, I was in a match on Saturday night's main event, a special NBC on Peacock. I was in a match with LA Knight, and I hurt my knee. I was doing a move that I do all the time. It's a moonsault, a backflip. In this particular instance, I was not landing on my belly, but I was landing on my feet when I landed. I felt my knee pop and buckle. We got out of the match and we moved forward. Monday, I was in Birmingham, Alabama, where our specialists are at. We tried to take a look at the knee through some imaging. It was a little too swollen, so we're going to take another look, hopefully in a week or two here in LA, to try to get some sort of firm diagnosis, and then we can go from there. I'm not a doctor. I only know my body and what I feel, and what I feel is that it's going to be me out for an extended period of time. We were talking off air earlier. Huge bummer, and it is a bummer. But look, it is what it is. Our business moves on. This isn't the first time that I've been injured. It won't be the last. And I've always just got WrestleMania in the back of my mind. I'm like, can I make it back for WrestleMania season for the whole thing? And so that's my brain, always goes there. And I feel good about that. But beyond a firm timeline, I just won't know until we get a better answer on the MRI. So that's where it's at. That all sounds reasonable, because I have heard countless times where they have to wait to do imaging until the swelling in the injured area goes down.
Yeah, I've heard the same. I also appreciate that he has got the mind of like a wrestling content creator. Just wait till WrestleMania season. That's where we make our money, and then we can cruise the rest of the year. At least WWE does, seemingly.
That seems to be their MO, yeah. So anyways, let's get to the conspiracy.
Well, yeah, because I think, what he's saying here, trying to like look for clues.
I mean, saying, it's too swollen to get a real answer about what's going on is a good push.
That is.
Let's get to the sorry.
Go ahead. Go.
Let's get to the stuff from Alvarez and Meltzer, and then
because there's one other thing in his quote.
Bring it all together. So, Brian Alvarez, Dave Meltzer, they're doubling down on the idea that Seth's injury is a work when it first happened. They said that they had heard, I think it was Dave heard from somebody on Thursday. John Pollock said something similar. Then on Thursday they heard, this is the Thursday, not today, last Thursday prior to Saturday's main event, there'd be an injury angle happening. So Alvarez recently reported that, quote, multiple sources have stated the knee injury Seth Rollins appeared to suffer on this past weekend's Saturday night's main event was a work, and that both talent and production people were worked into thinking it was legitimate. Alvarez noted that according to one source, Rollins did have a very minor knee injury going into Saturday, so the claim he was hurt is somewhat true, but was nothing that would have kept him out of action much at all. The idea is to convince fans Rollins is out for a long time so he can return early with a surprise cash-in.
I watched the clip, the Pollock clip, and yeah, but he says the same thing that he had heard that they were going to do an injury deal. Look, if this ends up being an angle, then Meltzer and Alvarez and Pollock will get a big old "I told you so." Mm-hmm. A lot of people are going to have to shut up on this one. Dude, I mean, to be completely honest, there's no way for us to know. It's the world of professional wrestling. Seth Rollins could be lying out of his ass right here for the purpose of a story and a surprise. If that's the case, honestly, if that's the case, then I'd be ecstatic for the guy because it won't be, a big deal. And here's the thing. It'll mean that they'll be able to proceed on with the story that they want to tell. Now I can understand the point of view from some people that, why would you mess with like what seems like a real situation? They rush the finish to the match, making it seem like even to us nerds who pay way too close attention, oh man, they just went straight to the finish, But if the idea is they're going to do an injury angle to write off Seth, let's take a look at the competition AEW. They've done 2 injury angles recently to write off wrestlers, and it was Samoa Joe and Will Ospreay at the hands of the Death Rider so that they can go and do other stuff. In the case of Samoa Joe's promote Twisted Metal, according to Fightful, and also according to Fightful for Will Ospreay, it's because he's wrestling banged up and he wants to, take some time off, probably in advance of, he'll be back in a month for Forbidden Door, I'm assuming, because they're in London. Yeah. But those were angles that they did that nerds like you and I, and pretty much everybody in the arena,
clearly know are angles, yes.
We know that they're angles. This is a story beat. If you want to take that idea further, let's say this is, because we're not going to know until, I think we'll probably know by SummerSlam. Punk wins and Punk gets cashed in on. He got to sit there and see that happen to Drew McIntyre. Now it happens to him. And if that's the case, I love that reciprocal kind of storytelling. Do they have to make it seem more legitimate so that the surprise is more legitimate? Or do you think it's manipulation of a fan base that cares about these performers? And when they see something like this, they think, oh man, I'm actually in my feels. What say you?
That's a tough question.
Not an easy one, is it?
So much of pro wrestling, so much of narrative storytelling is manipulation. Pro wrestling is different than that. It kind of blends a lot more reality in with the narrative than obviously TV, film, so on and so forth.
Let me tell you where I draw the line really quick so you can mull it over a little bit, and I'll throw another wrinkle in there for you. I think I do actually kind of draw the line at this person has been released from a contract. The R-Truth stuff.
I was just about to bring that up, yeah.
It actually does seem like, regardless of Triple H trying to tiptoe around the idea that they didn't understand how popular this guy was, it does seem like they released that guy, brought him back, and tried to act like it was all part of the thing. But in the storyline, like in the story, they had actually released him, or they had let his contract expire.
Yeah, they said it was like they had an impasse in contract negotiations.
They were when it's something like that with somebody lose, it's weird to think this, I guess, but because that has been such a such a point of contention between its audience and the company, specifically the mass releases during the pandemic, which just seemed as heartless as you can be for a company that boasts new levels, record revenue all the time.
Yeah.
We're going to release these people during a pandemic when nobody can ply their trade. that to me was like, you guys have got a lot of goodwill that you need to make up when it comes to that specific topic.
Yes.
So you probably shouldn't be messing with that. And I don't know, I probably went the other way when this first happened, but I do think I was a bit more conflicted about like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I think I can confidently say at this point, they probably shouldn't mess with the employment status thing.
Without a doubt, and that's the conversation we had when R-Truth was released, and there was talk then about whether that was a work or not, and especially it wasn't just R-Truth that was his contract wasn't going to be renewed. It was Carlito and it was Sarah Logan, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, if the R-Truth aspect is a work, did 2 other people lose their job to kind of cover the fact that that's a work? If so, that's super messed up, you know?
On the flip side to that, injury angles in pro wrestling that have completely fooled fans have been it's a traditional, it's a trope of pro wrestling. I mean, you can go back to the territory days, you know, people being blinded and keeping kayfabe in real life, and fooling everybody. You know, this kind of stuff, trying to manipulate your audience in an entertainment medium, in a storytelling medium that is unique in that they do blur the line so much between real and fake, that I kind of feel like if this is a work, I feel like it's fair game, you know, and even doing the weird rushed finish is meant to fool everybody.
Yeah.
And if they did that, god dang, mission accomplished. The only the quote in here from Seth is his assertion that even though I don't, and I actually, if it's real, I still get it, and I would believe this, but his assertion that I'm going to be out for an extended, I know my knee, and I know I'm going to be out for an extended period of time without having seen actual MRI results. Now, he probably knows his body better than I know mine because he's been through all this stuff.
Yeah, he suffered, a torn ACL.
So maybe
he had the
knows,
championship back in 2015. Yeah, he knows. You'd think he would know what that feels like.
Familiar territory.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted that. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, you could say, well, he does know that, so he could speak with some measure of authority regarding that, and therefore, when he says that, it's good cover for him to be out a while, only for him to return sooner.
Yeah.
I guess this is just an extension of injury angles in a way to try to make it more believable. So it's not just in the storyline universe of WWE that he's hurt, but fans actually think he is hurt. And that's the difference. Sorry, go ahead.
Here's I'm sorry. I'm just going to go back to this quote really quick. Here's my only takeaway from it. He doesn't say I'm holding out hope that I'm going to be back sooner. He's very specific when he hammers home the extended period of time thing. He doesn't give any room for, but maybe not.
Yeah. Well, he knows his body, Steve.
Well, I'm just saying.
It's a tough line to toe in the wrestling business when you're trying to work the fans and get them to buy into this universe you're creating, but it's seen as taboo to work the locker room too, and obviously a situation of him walking around backstage with the knee brace. Yeah, he's working backstage. Now, we know that things get out. We talked about that when we first talked about this, especially when CM Punk came back and Drew McIntyre apparently had a massive fit backstage. Walked out, even though the show was over. Seth Rollins, after Canvas stopped rolling on the show.
Yeah. He just left.
Yeah, he just left.
That's called leaving.
This is called day's work done, Seth Rollins had a major fit afterwards. That wasn't caught on cameras, but you're damn sure right that a bunch of people in the arena had their phones out and recording it, so we all see it. Yeah. WWE is very aware that their product doesn't stop when the cameras start rolling. And there's been countless times where they take advantage of that to advance stories. Now, with these reports, Seth walking around on crutches, He's got the knee brace. If it's a situation where nobody's relaying to anybody backstage, this is all a work. If it is, and the idea that you can't work the locker room or work backstage or it's looked down upon, I'm sure there's complexity to that, obviously. If it's a situation where it's a thing like this where, I got to fake a knee injury backstage for a couple weeks, I'm going to come back, cash in, everybody will see, it worked out, it was a great moment. We get it. In a situation like with R-Truth, where he was let go, someone so beloved backstage, and the concept of that being a work, that is a no-no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, dude, everything, one person ruins it for everybody, seemingly. Like this already. Between, I don't know if it's the same dude that's talking to Pollock and talking to Meltzer and Alvarez and all that, or if it's a couple people.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, regardless, they're ruining it for everybody. They're ruining backstage for everybody.
Well, what percentage of WWE's viewing audience pays attention to this stuff?
Oh, dude, here's kind of my counter to that. Because I don't disagree with where you're going. But they literally were able to advertise CM Punk coming back to AEW without saying his name once.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's an AEW audience, but yes, you're right. The 10-year-olds in attendance, they probably don't have a Fightful subscription. And neither maybe do their parents who are bringing them there. That being said, word can spread quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think that has to be taken out of the equation. We know Triple H is much more online than Vince ever was.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he probably takes great delight in fooling idiots and suckers like us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But more than that, because we don't claim, nor do we want sources, because then it's just a whole sticky situation.
That sounds like too much pressure and responsibility. And
all the shit that Sean has to deal with online just sounds like a fucking nightmare. Like, honestly, if I was Sean Ross Sapp, I'd hire a fucking publicist or some shit to deal with that stuff. I mean, I don't know. But fooling him and Meltzer and Mike Johnson and those type of guys, I think probably, if you can work the most passionate of your fan base, then he probably thinks mission accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah.
But look, I feel you about the R-Truth thing and like, he's a locker room leader. People rely on him. People go to him. I don't know. That's I guess, hey, then, they're still getting their paycheck, they're still, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not one of them, so I can't really speak to like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Well, I mean, I guess it's hearing, because it was reported upon, the climate in the locker room after he was let go. And people were unhappy about it. That was reported. People were saying that Truth would not work a situation like this because it's frowned upon. That's why I bring it up. Not that I have any personal experience, because I don't. But getting back to the Rollins thing, I guess the way, regardless of the news getting out and whether this whole thing is a work or not, the way it was orchestrated as Saturday night's main event, you could read the thing here from Meltzer and Alvarez, or from Alvarez, and be like, but it was so clunky and awkward. It wasn't just a situation where they stopped the match, they threw up the X, he walked out, or was helped out, like we've seen numerous times where people get hurt during the match. These days, it's probably, if it's a one-on-one match, if someone gets hurt, they just call it off usually. Usually. They just stop the match. And for it to be weird and awkward and clunky and to end so abruptly does make it seem more legitimate. And so even if you see stuff like this, you're like, I don't know, what I saw seemed like how, when they don't stop matches, how it goes. They just go to the finish right away.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, I have full faith in them to be able to construct a match finish that has us scratching our heads as to whether it's real or fake, Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be Seth Rollins in a wheelchair with the fake leg on the stirrup thing.
Yeah.
Lifts the blanket up. Briefcase on his lap. He stands up. That's what it's got to be.
Kevin Nash cast leg.
That's what it's got to be.
I can't put a GIF on here because they'll freaking.
Ding us for copyright.
We got hit with a copyright for a GIF once before, which, hey, video is video. If it's over 3 seconds. Yeah, I'm like, oh wait, let's see, date modify. Here we go. Oh, see, this is a WebP file. Yeah, we want to see Seth Rollins show up like this.
Oh goodness.
And then let's see if I can find one where he stands up. Where he stands up. And, somebody green screened it though. That's funny.
Oh wow.
Anyways, I'm not going to do all that. No. We do have a sponsor. We have a couple sponsors for today's show though, so we should probably talk about them.
Let's do it. Let's take a break. Get word from our sponsor. Delete Me, Steve. Every day I'm looking at the news. I read the news every day. And I see headlines, several of them, where there's a story about data breaches or regulatory rollbacks. They're making us all vulnerable.
Yeah, man, I know. It's maddening. But you can do something about it, you know. Delete Me is here to make it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online.
As you know, Steve, privacy is a huge deal for me, and it drives me absolutely crazy whenever I get one of those letters in the mail saying that my personal data has been breached and is just out there on the internet. It drives me nuts. Anyways, thankfully, Delete Me is here to help. It does all the hard work of wiping that personal information from data broker websites, and it's not just a one-time service. Delete Me is constantly working for you, monitoring and removing the personal info you don't want on the internet. And Delete Me will send you regular privacy reports detailing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed.
So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners, today get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting RAW to 64000. The only way to get 20% off is to text RAW to 64000. That's RAW to 64000. Message and data rates may apply.
And this episode of Steve Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast is sponsored by him. Steve, you know, I've noticed you're always wearing that hat in your head when we record these shows.
Well, yeah, you know, I like to sell our merch. This is available right now. And, well, okay, let me guess, dude.
What?
You're going to say that I wear a hat to cover up my thinning hair. Well, how about this, Larson? Maybe you should be the one wearing the hat, you big baldy.
Wow. I think things have gone too far, Steve. Maybe we should, back off a little bit.
Yeah, speaking of far, your hairline is far from what it used to be, Larson. So how about getting yourself some Hims? Hims offers convenient access to a wide range of doctor-trusted prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that are clinically proven to work in as little as 3 to 6 months, so you can have a fuller head of hair by the fall.
Hims is also 100% online, so you, Steve, can get started from the comfort of your couch. That couch you have back there behind you, in fact. All you got to do is fill out an intake form, and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to your door for free.
Great. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/goinginraw. That's HIMS.com/goinginraw for personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/goinginraw. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. I'm sorry I called you Baldo, man. That's messed up.
You're not sorry.
Shouldn't be saying stuff like that.
I know you're not sorry.
I'm definitely very sorry. Look, I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Got something in my eye there.
Apparently, let's talk CM Punk. Of course, he's challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Made his return to WWE in 2023, but apparently it was so close to come back in 2019. Ooh. So Punk was on My Mom's Basement, and on there, he said he actually had a handshake deal to return even a couple years before he signed with AEW. These transcripts come to you from Sports Illustrated and Fightful. This is what Punk had to say. There's quite a bit here to chew on.
Here, I'll read these ones. You got to do the Seth stuff. I want to be
sure. Go ahead.
Punk. I want to be seeing Punk for a day. He said this. I think the Twitter and the internet perception is I tried to go back to WWE and they didn't want me, so I went and did the Fox show. That's not what happened at all. I had a hilarious clandestine meeting in Borgata in Atlantic City with Vince and Triple H. I don't even know now. What is it, 2025? This has to be 2018 or 2019. And it's just because Vince started calling. I had agents. They were telling me, hey, they want to talk to you. And I was like, whatever, I'm not interested. And then Vince just started calling me. He was like, hey, pal, I'm eliminating the middleman. And I was like, this is insane. And it just so happened that, oh, well, I'm going to be here. All right, we can get there. Okay, all right. So we had a meeting and we had a handshake agreement. And then he ghosted me. So that's why it didn't happen. Unbelievable. I'm going to write a book someday. It's a great story, a fantastic story. Yeah, that would have been probably the first time that me and Triple H probably started chipping it away at any problems or drama that we had in the past. That was the first instance. I was open to a return at the time. I was very much like, yeah, okay, pay me, whatever. I took some stuff personally, like years have gone by. All right, I'm over it. Recognize that it's a business. You don't want me to take it personally. Just pay me. So my perception was he did backstage as kind of like a putting your toe into the water type deal to see if the general culture of WWE was kind of, even though it was a Fox produced deal, if like that would kind of, you know, loosen things up a little bit. Mm-hmm. That was always my perception because all the little bits and pieces, because he had talked about before that there were games that were played in 2019. And so I felt, okay, well, kind of makes sense that he did the backstage thing as a way to start dipping his toes back into the company. Yeah. But evidently there was, you know, I don't know, like, is the idea that he did backstage first, or because if Vince, my thing is this, if Vince like gave him the handshake and then ghosted him, I don't know that he would have been like, oh yeah, I'm going to go talk up WWE. So I kind of feel like backstage happened probably first and then Vince talked to him.
Yeah, the timeline makes more sense. Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he saw the numbers on Punk's appearances on backstage because they did very, very well. Like the ratings on that show did pretty decent, you know, just for like being a talkie show. Yeah. And then literally everybody in backstage ended up in AEW.
Yeah. So he arrived on WWE Backstage November 12th, 2019.
So it was late 2019.
Late 2019.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what the timeline is there, but I guess it doesn't really matter. And then he changed the direction of pro wrestling forever by going to AEW.
He did.
That was a pretty big deal right there.
It was a massive deal.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, Vince, the older he got, do you think he even remembered having that conversation with Punk? You're like, oh, yeah, pal, come on back. Gave him a handshake, and then a week later, he's sitting there thinking, it'd be great to have CM Punk back in the company. Probably. I should reach out to him, and then he just forgets.
And then just forgot about that, too.
Probably. That wouldn't shock me. Yeah.
So, all right, time for our favorite part of the week, Steve. It's what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm dying to get into this, man. Because we ask the friendos, of course, every week, like you just said, what do you want us to talk about? And there's a lot to talk about with this one because Kylo Ren, a bunch of other people too, but Kylo Ren mentioned this. Goldberg's interview with Ariel Helwani.
I mean, like it's 39 minutes of him saying one thing and then saying something that seemingly contradicts what he just said. Yeah, he doesn't make eye contact.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm not complaining, but God, this whole thing sucked. It was like a rib on me. Yeah, Gunther's great. Like, this was the twitchiest. This made me nervous, this interview.
I know. It made me like, anxious. Yeah.
Yes, it made me anxious watching this.
It was clear there's somebody off screen that every once in a while he would turn to.
Yeah, like every time he would say something complimentary, he would turn and act like, oh, did you hear what I just said? Look, like he wasn't sincere about anything.
Yeah.
This was a bizarre interview, and obviously people have taken, you know, the clips. I was surprised because like the headline for this segment, which Ariel Helwani show had the MMA hours, posted online as like its own 39-minute interview clip. And like the headline is Goldberg explains why he's pissed with WWE. If you watch only like the first 4 minutes of this thing, I'm like, that's not my read on Goldberg because he's very complimentary and he's like, oh yeah, no, you know, it was great. I got to do my thing. And then he's like, it sounds like he's got a couple of small qualms with how things went. But then by the 15-minute mark, he's on full shoot interview mode, except not really, because he keeps on saying that in 2 weeks he can like spill the full beans on this.
Yeah.
It's truly a bizarre.
It really is, because it
interview.
opens up. He's like, "Oh, I'm super appreciative of the opportunity. Was it perfect? No. You know, he said he loved working with Gunther. At least that was fairly consistent. Even though when he was talking about laughing off his chops, saying he broke character because they thought they'd hurt more or something like that. That was it. Just is more like his tone and how it was delivered came off as strange. If it's thing like, man, those things look devastating on TV, but they're actually not that bad to take. That's a compliment to Gunther that he could deliver a move that seemingly is so rough that leaves handprints. But in terms of the physical impact on the people receiving it, not a huge deal.
It's said in the most disrespectful, condescending tone.
It is.
And him referring to, and I know this is probably just I think Goldberg is like literally a baby, but I don't think he's Gen X. I think he's like on the cusp of being Gen X, because Gen X goes back to, I think, to 68.
68, yeah, I think so, yeah.
He was born, I don't know what the math, you're the math guy. What's 58 years ago?
If he's 58, it'd be 67.
Okay. Oh, okay. So
assuming he's had a birthday this year, yeah.
Okay. But the energy is definitely entitled boomer type stuff. You know, I hate doing the generational shit because my parents are boomers. They're hella cool. But yeah, it definitely has that very entitled, you know, and it's funny, dude, because I'm not gonna, I don't know, because he wouldn't say. I can maybe extrapolate from what he was saying as, I've been prepping for this. Like, we agreed to do a thing sometime in the year. I've been prepping for this for 5 months. He said, oh, this sounds amazing. He just had a pizza for the first time in 5 months and his body rejected it. That's what I'm worried about, because I've been eating hella clean for like 4 weeks now.
It's going to happen.
And then
what you have to do, this is a sidebar. What you have to do.
Let me guess what you're going to say. I have to go to Burger King, get a long boy chicken sandwich and like a kid's Whopper meal so I can have the taste of both.
No, what I was going to say is what you have to do. You can't dive into the deep end. You can't be eating clean and then go get like, you know, the greasiest burger known to man. You have to get like the 93 7-gram beef and make your own burger. That's what you have to do.
It's like a whole process.
You have to get the lean ground beef. That way you get the flavor of a burger, but you don't get all the fat in it.
That sounds like you're half-assing it. I want to go full bore.
You can if you're willing to deal with it. Like, if you really want a hot dog, have at it. But there's hot dogs that don't have all the nitrates and nitrites in it. That's the stuff.
Why would
really
I want that?
Because those are horrible for you.
Yeah.
You can get them with less fat in there. You get a decent replica of what you really want without everything you don't want to put in you.
It's not.
You have to make these compromises, Steve. We're at an advanced age.
Compromise. Come on now. This is America.
I might be going to a ball game on Saturday. I'm not getting a hot dog. No way.
That sounds like, what are you, communist? Get out of here with that.
I'm going to eat before I go.
Let's talk about Goldberg.
I don't want to pay $8 for a hot dog. Come on.
Yeah, I'd pay $16 for 2, baby. So my guess is, when we all found out Goldberg was having his last match, Goldberg found out because one of his points of contention seems to be he only had 3 weeks to tell everybody he wanted to invite, which seemingly was like hundreds of people, because he had 90 there with him, all of whom were alpha males. His words.
Who don't what, puff out their chest and or brag about stuff. And then he spends half this time bragging about what he's done and not feeling appreciated.
So much of it is embarrassing to hear somebody talk about, we got, the 90 people in this room and they're all alphas and they're all respectful and they know how to lead by example and they don't. And I'm like, you're not doing that right now. You come off as kind of a bitch. You kind of come off as petty. But here's the thing, like, why not just wait because I'm sure that I don't know, there's probably aspects of this where he's probably totally in the right. It's just the way he's approaching this makes him just come off like, I don't know. It's just so, like, keeps on jetting his eyes. Like, he does not make eye contact with the camera. I know he knows how because I've seen plenty of interviews where he does. He's so, like, shifty and, like, looking at somebody off camera.
Yeah.
It's just very uncomfortable, this entire interview.
It really is.
And it's like,
really
dude, if he, he says, oh, yeah, no, I couldn't be happier with, with the spot they gave me. And then like 10 minutes later, he says, they're giving me a world title shot. I've had, dozens of those. Why do I need that? What's that going to do for me? Did you like it or not?
Yeah.
You know
he
who?
Says, oh, the most fun I've had in a
would
long time. What? So go ahead.
You know who would declare if one way or the other?
Bret Hart.
Well, yeah. I was going to say a real alpha. Bret Hart is a real alpha.
If Bret Hart's miserable about something, he'll let you know. And there'll be none of this diplomatic, I'm appreciative of the experience. No.
You know who wouldn't wait 2 weeks? Bret Hart, a real alpha. That's
Yep. Should wear my Bret Hart shirt today.
If you ever find yourself in life referring to yourself or anybody else as an alpha unironically, you really need to reevaluate things.
Yeah.
You really should.
Yeah. This is a strange interview, and maybe in 2 weeks we'll get all the dirt. I don't know. So. I mean, the timeline seems to be, I think he said it was November last year, conversation started. Yeah. January of this year. It was pretty much scheduled. But then I guess probably because Gunther was involved in other stories, they didn't want to jump ahead or start the thing with Goldberg again too early for fear of kind of muddling what they were doing storyline wise. This is my guess.
Let me ask you, part of your guess, sorry, I just want to make sure, is part of your guess that they gave him a date and they started pushing on that date, or just it was decided at some point we're going to do Goldberg Gunther?
I think the way he says it in January, it was decided that his retirement match was going to be, I don't know if it's exactly that day because I don't know when it was announced, but
you think he was given
internally,
a time frame?
Yeah, okay. That's what I gathered from what he said.
Okay.
That January was decided.
There were so many different things that were said.
Yeah, I know. And the 3 weeks is obviously the promotional window. That's when the match was booked to when it happened. So, like, he can't necessarily go and ask people to attend until it's announced on TV. Is my
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. No, that
until
actually
the match was official and announced, he couldn't extend invitation.
He can't extend it because then it'll get out.
Yeah,
I got you. No, that actually, you know what? You're right. That actually does make sense. Yeah, he said multiple times after complaining endlessly that he was not complaining. I'm just answering your questions.
Yeah.
He also, again, the entitlement is off the charts here. Trying to get, I saw people on Reddit comparing him to Deion Sanders as it pertains to his kid. Because he's like, because his son plays football, but apparently his son has a hard time making the field. And so he's like, we got a big game coming up. Hopefully he's out there on the field and not, he's able to get in the game this time. Says WWE wanted it for NIL. He says, but the amount of money they were going to offer him, I pulled him away from that. So like apparently he thinks that they weren't offering him enough money. And then he said he's in a very lucky situation because my son believes that wrestling can be his backup plan. And then he also says, he insinuates that his relationship with Triple H isn't great. Mm-hmm. He says, we're on contact every once in a while.
Yeah.
He does that shit.
Yeah.
He was seemingly nonchalant about cracking Charles Robinson's rib with a spear.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of tossed, he like just threw out an apology. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure it'll heal like it did last time.
It was
dude's one in his 60s and you broke a rib. Be like,
it was
dude,
the
I'm
least
sorry.
Sincere apology I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, it
wouldn't
be the first time. This guy's so tough. He's so tough. Like in all this time, you couldn't figure out how to spear somebody without cracking their rib.
I know. And then when you do, be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Who do you think, you mentioned this earlier, who do you think he was subtweeting here, if you will? I look around the room and I wrote down a bunch of this stuff. I see alphas, men who set examples, and there needs to be more like them and less men who pound their chest and take pictures of themselves and post them online. And he made kind of a point thing.
Oh, he's talking about Triple H?
I kind of feel like he's talking about Triple H. I didn't see if Triple H got a picture with him for their Instagram.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice.
I did. I feel like I would have seen it if that was the case.
Yeah.
I can check the WWE Instagram.
Or his Twitter, Triple H's Twitter.
He also insinuated, the entire interview is insinuation.
Yeah.
He also insinuated that there was that elements of, and I think maybe specifically, as he harps on the whole 28 seconds before it cut to the NBC logo.
Yeah.
He insinuates that was some element of that was on purpose as a rib on him.
Well, here's the thing. He says it wasn't done intentionally, but it was done in a way that it was bound to happen. That's kind of how he puts it. But then he also says that he was told that his promo would be cut off early and they'd upload it to YouTube.
Which they did, and it's got 1.2 million views, which is around in the same ballpark as the actual viewing numbers for Saturday night's main event, at least on.
Yeah, on
it's got
NBC.
a massive amount of views, and he went 10 minutes on this thing.
And he said, and he was like kind of, dismissively, oh, they got their online views. Like he's upset this happened, but apparently he was told it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so the issue is, oh, they should have given me more time. He's like, I don't know, maybe the match went long. Well, that's up to you in Gunther to. There's a clock next to Hardcam with the time on it that is there for the performers to look at, so they can keep track of how much time they've spent during their match.
If
the promo is the important thing to Bill,
yeah,
have your 3.5 minute match. Let Gunther squash you so you can do your promo after the show. All right, buddy? He was upset they weren't given enough time, seemingly. He was upset they weren't getting enough time for the promo, seemingly. It's like if look, I'm not trying to defend WWE by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure there are some.
It's like, yeah, defending scumbag company with scumbag guy.
and I'm sure there is issues that Goldberg had with it that I was, if you get the full, description of what happened, like, oh yeah, that's kind of messed up. Like I've been saying for weeks, his retirement match should have been on a pay-per-view. He should have gotten that larger stage.
And I think that's probably because Helwani asked him pretty early, do you think this should have been on a PLE instead of a network special? And he was like, yeah. And it was like, and I understand if it was on a premium live event, they wouldn't have had to have cut his speech short because, there's no upper limit
there's
to
no
that.
out. There's no hard out.
Right. And so, like, I can maybe understand that. The speech, it's not like he did 30 seconds of the speech and then got bummed out. He did the full bore speech. Cody came out.
Yeah.
And so he got, was able to say everything he wanted to say to the Atlanta crowd and then 1.2 million people on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, people are savvy enough now to know if someone gets cut off mid-sentence, wait a few minutes, it's probably going to end up on the internet. Yeah.
And they did it really quickly, too. I remember it was very shortly afterwards.
And look, it's with live TV, on a network, you only have so many minutes you could play with, And if he wanted to have a match that was longer than 10 minutes plus do his 10-minute promo, something's got to give for him. He's got to. I would guess he would have to prioritize what is more important to him: having the match or having the send off on the mic. And because, they got a lot of time to everything else on the show. And if the Seth thing was planned and was a work, that was timed into their segment. There was that 90 seconds, 2 minutes that was planned out to be part of their thing. He
calls out two other names to juxtapose how his retirement was handled: Undertaker and John Cena.
Well,
he is neither of those names.
Nope.
He does not hold the relevance of either of those guys.
Nope.
He was relevant from 97 to 98. Pretty much as soon as he won the title, creative was terrible for him. They didn't know what to do with him. No character evolution. Came back to much fanfare in 2003. Was gone, booed out of the building 2004.
Yep.
Came back to much fanfare and he also ran down the Lashley match. That was crazy to me. he says, yeah, I wasn't happy with that. I was sick going to Saudi. I'm like, hey, if you were sick in Saudi Arabia, you did that Lashley match.
Wasn't that the Roman match he was sick for?
Oh, is that what he was referring to?
I think it was a Roman match. Yeah.
Okay. I thought the Lashley match was the last thing he did, but maybe he was talking about was the Roman match more recent than that?
I think so. Let me double check.
Okay. Because the Lashley match was really good. If he's talking about the Roman match, then okay, I guess. I don't remember anything about that match. I mean, if he says it wasn't good, then I'm sure it wasn't good.
Yeah, Roman was his last match.
Oh, okay, it was.
Chamber
Okay, that's my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I thought
the Lashley one was
that was 2022.
Jewel.
So that was 2021. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's bad on me. But yeah, I don't know. What were you just talking about? Yeah. In any event. Oh, the Cena Taker thing. I know he was incredibly popular for a very short period of time, and every time he came back, it was pretty damn well handled. They made the most out of him, but he's not John Cena. He's not Undertaker.
No.
And any amount of self-awareness, he'd understand that.
Yes.
But it is what it is, and he says that he might do. I wouldn't be shocked if he did his own financed Goldberg World Tour, where he, I don't know, did his own thing. Because he was talking about doing that before.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
And if he does, and he's absolutely right in terms of in pro wrestling, you're not retired until you're dead. Look at Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
He literally died during a match. And then he came back up for the finish.
Yep.
So, he might do that. I'm not going to sit here and scream my head off like Dave LaGreca and be like, "Did I never see you again?" Hey, go make some money with wrestling if that's what you want to do.
Exactly.
I probably won't pay for it.
No, I wouldn't either.
But yeah, I don't know. It's on one hand, it's kind of a bummer to see a dude at 58 years old, he busts his ass for 5 months and he does this thing. On the other hand, he's burnt off so much of my goodwill, talking shit about Asuka, referring to her the way he did. Just the sense of entitlement this guy has always sort of displayed.
Yep.
I hate to defend WWE against like anything because it's kind of like a scumbag company. But I'll sit there and watch their shit. But yeah, it's the whole thing was twitchy, bizarre, made me anxious, made me nervous to watch it.
And he comes off as so disingenuous so often.
The entire thing is so disingenuous. It's like, what is this guy's fucking problem?
Yeah. I guess we have to maybe wait 2 weeks to get the real scoop. Yeah, Helwani even tried to get there. He was like, why you keep on saying 2 weeks? Is it NDA or what? And he was like, I don't know, I kind of basically. Well, I think he said, let's just say that.
Yeah, right, yeah. He's probably got some sort of contract,
Yeah, there's a contract extension.
A promotional contract window where he can't disparage anything.
It's probably till the end of this month. On August 1st, he could probably say what he wants.
Probably, yeah. We'll find out. We'll find out what the alpha male mentality really is.
I guess so. We got more news here. Heel Heat says AJ Styles going back to TNA. So TNA has been marketing Slammiversary with the word phenomenal in all caps. That's it. I think that's the extent of the story. Although I think somebody had something about the likelihood of AJ showing up. So
yeah, the head dude at I don't even know the dude's name anymore. The
Carlos Silva.
Holy shit! Look at you on top of the game.
We're a wrestling podcast. We should know.
You know why you knew that just like that? You're an alpha male. A real alpha.
No, dude.
You know how I know you're an alpha, Larson? Because I only surround myself with alphas.
Oh, does that make you an alpha male then?
No, I'm not one. I just like being
I'm not
around
one
them.
either.
I think they're so cool. Wait a second. Hold on a second. You're not one?
No.
Why am I not? I thought I was surrounding myself with alphas.
No.
Damn it. Can't even do that right.
Nope. I would expect AJ Styles is going to get inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then I remember him saying something along the lines of like, I'd rather be inducted by WWE first. So I don't know. Maybe he's had a change of heart on that one. That's what I thought too. But who knows? Maybe we're just going to run an angle with him and Dom at Slammiversary.
Maybe.
To promote the IC title match. So
that
they need, Hello, empty bus seat here. Says Jelly Roll, revealing he's been doing in-ring wrestling training with Kevin Owens, who's supposed to be awaiting a significant neck surgery.
So apparently it's Kevin Owens and Undertaker have been helping him train. I saw that. And I would guess neither Undertaker or Kevin Owens are in there actually taking bumps with him.
I would probably guess that as well. Did you see Jelly Roll guest hosting the Kimmel show?
I heard about it, but I did not watch it.
I watched the segment. It was wildly fun. I love this shit. It's corny as hell, but you know, man, I enjoyed when Hogan and Bischoff went on Jay Leno's show and kicked him off the set. I thought that was fun. I like when they do this shit. Sometimes it's like it's a bit too like, oh, this is kind of embarrassing. But this one was actually really well done. Randy's there with Jelly Roll and Drew shows up. Randy, the thing I think that really works about it is that everybody knows, all the casual, like everybody in the audience knows who Randy Orton is. I think largely because of the memes, you know, and so, you know, people are chanting RKO, RKO. They brawl out of the studio. Jelly Roll is like, okay, I guess we're going to go to commercial then. And then Logan Paul shows up. And then he chokeslam Logan. It's like a nasty chokeslam through.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Logan does a great job selling it. And he puts him through the Kimmel's desk there. So it's a fun segment. It's one of those, you know, look, I don't really care about this match. It's sort of whatever, but it, in terms of just like, oh, it's one of those, you know, mainstream talk show moments that they've done a million times.
Yeah.
It was a well done one. It was a well done one.
All right,
yeah.
fair enough. David Matushek here says Pat McAfee detailing his reasons for his WB absence. Apparently he felt like he was dealing with mental exhaustion.
Yeah, it was burning out. Good move. Mental health number one. Mental health number one. Do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Corey kills it, man. I really wish
he's really good.
They would go to, if you're insistent on having Pat there, do a 3-man booth.
Yep.
Corey's so damn good. He should be on Raw.
He should. Joker Smiley says Tony Khan explained how he felt double-crossed by AAA. It was that show where Dragon Lee was competing. It was a AAA show where Dragon Lee was competing for the tag titles, even though, you know, obviously Dragon Lee was involved in AEW programming because of the partnership. And then, like, right afterwards, during the show, I think it was announced that he was going to WWE.
As he's holding the title with FTR's sticker on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand. You know, that's a bummer and a drag, and I don't know. I think that Tony's got a good reason to have been upset about that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a shady business, but that happens in wrestling sometimes.
Shane Canavan here says Goldberg's retirement being the lowest feud Saturday night's main event since his return. You said 1.2 million? Were the numbers?
So I believe, I'm not mistaken, it was like 1.45.
Oh, all right.
And then the YouTube was like in the same. It was like 1.2 at this point.
Yeah.
So sort of in the same window there. You know, I don't know if that's a harsher indictment on Goldberg or it's a harsher indictment on WWE and what people can expect from Saturday night's main event.
I know.
You know, these things are not. It's not exactly must-watch television. They don't generally run big angles there. It's overloaded, overstuffed with advertisements.
Yeah.
The matches are usually kind of nothing affairs.
Yep.
So
and this card for this one was especially kind of.
It was thrown together at the last second.
But yeah, and I mean, we've seen Randy and Drew how many times before?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I
and
know
we knew it was just to push the SummerSlam tag match with them. Yeah, it was kind of a lot of nothing. So, you know, you put on stuff that people want to see, and your views will probably go up.
Exactly. Shane also asked about Goldberg's complaints being justified. We kind of talked about that. You know, until we know more about the details of what he had issue with, then I don't know. The interview was so odd, and his demeanor kind of odd, that I don't know. He just comes off as super entitled, and so it's hard when he's complaining about this or that, whether it's justified or not.
Maybe he's got a good case. Maybe he's got a great case.
It's entirely possible. Maybe the way things were laid out about how the post-show promo wasn't laid out accurately, and he has every right to be upset. But the way he describes it, it sounds like, all right, we're going to go. We got to pull the plug on the show before you're done with your promo. All right. And then Shane also asked, any chance WB has second thoughts about counter programming? No, they're not going to change that. Not at all.
Yeah,
they're running Heat Wave opposite Forbidden Door.
I think there's already been reporting that they're happy with that. I forgot who had that one, but they're going to keep on doing that. Wait, is that right? NXT Heat Wave
opposite Forbidden Door, yeah.
Whoa, so they're countering Forbidden Door with Obafemi versus Josh Briggs. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. No.
So I'm saying if you really want to counter program, you got to put like a main roster PLE on.
Move SummerSlam.
Throwing an NXT show opposite AEW. That's not your best effort.
It's really not doing much for NXT.
No, it's you're feeding NXT to the wolves.
NXT is the one show that got massively drowned out. Like Evolution Saturday Night's main event and All In, and NXT was an afterthought. It really was. You're just killing it doing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before we talk about NXT this week, let's talk about AEW Dynamite. First Dynamite after.
Oh, no.
What? Oh, sorry, we got the cash-in. Sorry.
We're
already an hour into this show.
It's time for the cash-in, man.
All right, let's do it.
This is very exciting. Jack Showtime is cashing in on Sam 5167. Now, Sam 5167 is still going to get the bounty from the Thing. But if Jack Showtime wins today, he'll also get some sort of bounty. Let me double check here to see if Sam has responded to my request for an email. He's a channel. Here he is. He says, "Hi, just saw the community post and was told to email. I'm Sam5167. All right, man. Well, Sam, hopefully you're watching. There it is.
There it is.
Now, in this attaché case, which this is going to be going to Jack Showtime, in this attaché case is a whole. It's Schrodinger's fucking cash in, right?
Yeah.
In this cash in, he's
both
either
in there is success and failure. Yes.
Exactly, and a couple options in between, including one where Jack Showtime will be forced to rebrand himself, his own name.
Yep.
If he ever wants to participate again in predictions.
Yep.
Which is a great little option that you came up with. All right, here we go.
Now don't look. Just gotta put your hand in there.
So the great thing is all the options are kind of like there's none that I even know I could recognize.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do this, and then you tell me when to stop, and when I stop, I'm gonna close my hand and just get whatever is there.
Stop.
It's this one. It's whatever this one is. This is the cash in. All right, here we go. It's so much nicer when it's not you, right? Doing the cash in.
It's a little less. It makes things a little less anxious, yes.
All right. Now, two of these options are point options. One of which he'd win, one of which he'd lose.
Correct.
Because he's 15 points behind. I can confirm, because the point options were smaller, but I wrapped them in larger ones to make them look like the other ones.
Oh.
So right now we're at 50-50. He's either going to win or he's going to lose.
Oof.
If he got 20 points extra,
he wins.
He wins. If he got 10 points extra, he loses.
Unsuccessful cash in.
Jack Showtime got 20 points more. We have a new champion. He successfully cashed in on Sam. Sam, you are now the shortest reigning, but still legitimate former champion now of predictions. Jack Showtime is our first successful cash in.
Wow.
Hey, that was thrilling. That was really fun.
My heart was beating there a little bit.
Yeah, man. Hopefully maybe I'll frame this for him. Maybe I'll frame this for him, put it in the package.
How about you laminate it?
Yeah, I could laminate it. He could carry in his wallet, and show it at Denny's, I guess.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well,
congratulations, both to Jack Showtime and to Sam. both now in our Hall of Champions.
Yes. And Sam, I'll hit you in the email back with what we need. So there you go. Another year. Another money. Another friendo in the bank down. Oh, boy. That was
at least
that was
now
exciting.
it's out of the way.
Yeah.
Last time it was like it was so hard to put yourself in a position where you could cash in because it was just the point values.
I think theoretically, if he's out there, Peter Brontis, I don't think he ever cashed in.
The G1, no.
And it was the G1.
So has till next month at some point.
I'll see if we can find him.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways,
All right.
That was thrilling.
That was thrilling. Let's talk Dynamite. I enjoyed Dynamite. I know the venue was a major step down in terms of attendance and stuff, but I like when Dynamite goes to these venues with character. Even if they're not large, even if they're like a couple thousand people in there. It like the Tony Storm bit when she walks out in that kind of opera box. I don't think it was an actual opera box. I think it's you walk up to the mezzanine and there's a little landing there. But delivering the promo up there, especially within the context of her character, works so well. When they have these venues that are old with tons of character, like you could smell like the musty nature of that venue just watching it. I love it. I think it adds so much to the presentation. The show itself, I guess in turn, like the stuff with the Young Bucks, I thought was funny. Like the Neutron was funny. I don't know if they should do that every week, but I thought week 1 that was a good touch.
Yeah.
Everything with them not having a locker room, they've fallen hard since being stripped of their EVP titles. The prospect of getting Okada versus Swerve, I'm excited about because that's going to be great.
Yeah.
I thought Hangman's promo at the beginning of the show just came off as so genuine and earnest, but still very much rooted in his character, especially when he had to thank Swerve. So I guess the concerns coming off of All In and it being lauded and generally received well was, can they carry on with the momentum? Can they carry on with how they've been approaching their storylines? And one episode of Dynamite is not enough of a sample size to say, yes, they're carrying the momentum or not. But I think in terms of focusing on characters and telling stories with their characters, that continued on. And they set some stuff up that's intriguing. So all in all, I thought it was a pretty enjoyable. It wasn't like a Raw after Mania situation where there was like a bombshell or a huge development or anything like that. But in terms of firmly establishing this is what AEW is coming out All In, I thought it did a good job of that.
I'm gonna go the other way. I thought the venue's fine. This is the thing. I got some bad news for you.
What's that?
I don't think they're gonna be able to run these venues anymore. The like 1,000 seats. I think that there was a period of time when they probably had to book this stuff and they were like, oh, let's get 1,000 seat. We know we can sell that out. It's a beautiful venue.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful venue, and I'm cool with this kind of like 1996 Hammerstein kind of shit. I'm fine with that. And so I thought the venue was fine. Although I think that the way their attendance has been tracking upwards and all the great buzz from All In, I think they're going to start just running 3,000 minimum places,
Mm-hmm.
There were things that I liked. There were things that were set up. Tony and Athena, Athena with the contract. I thought Tony's promo was decent. Hangman's was good. But I do feel, with the exception of Okada Swerve, which I thought was a big deal. I was like, oh, that's cool. Swerve looks like $1 million coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm genuinely intrigued. And I hope they push. I don't know what's going to happen with Forbidden Door because it's supposed to be, cross promotional. And so I don't do Swerve Okada there. Push, and have these guys in their orbits for a while before you actually do the big match. Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I could have used a little bit more of that Raw after Mania. All in, especially given just how well All In came off. I think it needed a little bit more pep in its step.
I will say it really would have benefited from an angle at the end of the show to set up whoever Hangman is fighting next.
I think at the end of the show or the beginning of the show, I think that it needed that. I do.
Yeah, If they had included that, I thought it'd been like a really, really solid show. It wasn't their finest effort. I enjoyed it. I thought there was good things about it.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad. I'm not saying no, you're an idiot. I'm saying that's great that you did. But in terms of what I was hoping for with the show, and I guess you can, criticize having expectations.
How dare you?
I'm like, man, you really want to continue the momentum from like boy, it was a hot show after a hot show. I think maybe they underestimated just what kind of buzz they were going to get after this.
Possible. It's entirely possible.
I like that, I do appreciate that Mox kept up his heat and clearly they're going to do Mox Darby, something that we thought would be a really good idea.
I did appreciate that Mox, though, was so hesitant, especially early on that main event, to really mix it up.
Yeah.
It's like his confidence was shook.
Mm-hmm,
and the only time he really felt comfortable getting in there and mixing it up was when he had obviously had the upper hand.
Yeah.
In an even fight, he wanted nothing to do with it.
I like keeping him around for a big bad, and I think him versus Darby with no title worries, I think is a great idea, and it's obvious, and it's an obvious idea, and it's something that they should do, and I think it's something that people are going to want to see. I think that the pop for Darby simply beating Mox away from any title, it's you get to cake and eat it too. You have Hangman as the story logical champion, and you got Darby, and I really liked Hangman's speech where he thanked everybody, and then at the very end, as everybody's like, all right, are you gonna thank Swerve? Where are you gonna thank Swerve? And he does. And I thought he delivered that promo beautifully. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think at the end of that promo, you got to set something up. You got to set something up. And maybe the awkward nature of, well, we got the cross-promotional thing next.
Yeah.
Maybe
that kind of does put a pause in a lot of respects of some things they might be doing. Although, they haven't been wary of doing AEW versus AEW matches.
They do that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, totally like who from New Japan would you have in a match against Hangman? Sonata?
Well, is it going to be a heavier New Japan thing now, or is it going to be more of a CMLL thing?
CMLL wasn't even on the logo when they advertised it last. It was just AEW New Japan.
Who was your suggestion just now?
Sonata.
We're gonna play. Who are the champions right now? I know
we just did that. Not that
we
long
literally played that game. Like, is it gonna be him versus Gabe Kidd? Well, yeah, because Gabe Kidd he's a champion there.
Yeah, it could be.
Who's there? Yeah, Goto's out. Zack Sabre Jr. is around.
Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. is a champion. But they probably went through champion versus champion.
No. I'm just throwing names out there. Yota Tsuji.
David Finlay.
That's a cool name. Is Finlay still like a deal there?
I think so.
Is he? Honestly, they should do Yano.
Well, then Forbidden Door is kind of happening roughly in G1 season, too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Unless they're concluding it before Forbidden Door.
Who should Hangman's next AEW feud be with?
I mean, it really should be him and Ospreay at Forbidden Door.
Oof.
That should be the match.
Eesh. Oof. Nah, you got to give Ospreay something with a lot of heat that he can win.
Yeah, I know. So, okay. So the G1 is starting in 2 days, and it'll be done by August 17th. So it's not going to conflict with Forbidden Door.
Oh, okay. Anyways, let's just go ahead and dive into it. Hangman declares he's champion of the motherfucking world. It's a really long deal here.
Pretty much he just comes out and thanks the fans and says, it's not just me. It's like, I don't chant, you deserve it. You all deserve it. Because without the fans,
we deserve it. Yeah.
AEW wouldn't be what it is. And
I appreciate this sentiment here. He says, you're the ones who supported a grassroots DIY approach to pro wrestling. That's a great way to put AEW. I mean, it's financed by a billionaire, but yeah. I get it. Yeah. You need that grassroots thing, and definitely AEW had that.
Yeah. He thanks Orange Cassidy, Jay White, Cope, Ops, Danielson, Darby, and he especially had to thank Will Ospreay for paying the price that he paid at All In. And then he said, I don't know if this person helped me to help himself or to help AEW, or for one small moment he decided to help for me. But I want to say, Swerve Strickland, thank you. And he talks about it, how the weekend was a roller coaster for him. And he said, I shed buckets of blood, but I also shed a few tears. There are people like Mox who would say that makes me weak, makes me less of a man. But I want you to look at me. I have a wife and 2 kids who love me. I have thousands of millions who can look to me and respect me. If you want to know what kind of man I am, you can look at me and see that I am the champion of the motherfucking world.
The thing about Page, too, is that he surrounds himself with alphas. So you know. What about Hilton? Is Hilton an alpha? Because, I like to be around him.
Now.
I don't know what that means.
That question.
I don't know if that's a yes or no. Oh, man. Anyways.
So the main event, we had a Hangman team with Powerhouse Hobbs and Mark Briscoe against Death Rider team of Mox, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta. Fun match. And Page gets the win. He's looking for a buckshot on Claudio. Claudio ducks it. Claudio's looking for a neutralizer. And Page reverses that into a jackknife cover to get the W. And then Mox blasts Page from behind after the bell. So the Death Riders start beating up Hobbs and Briscoe. Claudio with some ground and pound on Hangman. And then Darby shows up way in the upper reaches of the mezzanine, almost to the rafters. And Mox stares at him for a second. And then he turns around, eats a clothesline from Hangman. And that's how the show ends.
Yeah.
But if I don't know,
they missed the damn buckshot on TV. You get you just get the lariat, the very end of the lariat, and it should have been oh goddamn.
Yeah,
that was a big deal.
So who is someone that could have confronted Page after this match that isn't Mox, Claudio, MJF, or Ospreay? Who's someone that could have stepped up to Hangman, either a heel who just wants to fight for the title, or someone who helped Hangman, who's all right, I helped you. Can I get a title shot out of it, please? Obviously not Swerve, because Swerve's in a program with Okada.
Swerve's in a thing with Okada. Well, you know what? I'll say this. Maybe you don't even need to do that. Maybe you give us a double dose of Swerve in the episode, and he comes out after Hangman, because, Hangman said, thank you. It wasn't a full-throated. It was as best as we're going to get, and that was everything. It was everything we needed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so,
it wasn't how we think
ecstatic. Right. Maybe Swerve comes out and just gives him a word of warning, He says, you asked, or you didn't know if I did this for me, for AEW, or for you. Well, the answer is yes to all three. Not precluding myself, just realize that is still my goal. And so he knows there's a target on his back. And I think that looming threat would have been enough to be this is happening at some point. Yeah. I don't know when, but it's going to happen at some point. In terms of who could be the next guy who might have confronted him after the main event, because obviously the Death Riders are going to be obsessed with Darby. Clearly Chris Jericho's an option.
Oh my God.
I know, right? What about a Ring of Honor call-up? Who's in Ring of Honor?
I was trying to think of someone who'd been out, if Eddie Kingston had showed up and confronted Hangman. Even that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
Oh, huge babyface pop for that.
Yeah.
Huge babyface pop for Eddie. Although that is a good name. He needs to come back at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's on their bad guy list? I mean, we heard from MJF. Hell, even an MJF Hurt Syndicate,
Yeah,
confronting him. This is going to happen. I mean, they did the backstage thing, but even if he shows up and he's this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Okada seems completely content with being the 1B champion as the unified champion. He looks like it,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a good situation for him. I'm actually looking at the roster right now. Ricochet's not far enough, but Ricochet versus Hangman could be fun.
It'd be a good match.
It'd be a really good
What about
match.
Blake Christian?
I mean, I'm always in favor of Vanilla Baby, the almost Axiom. I think that could have been cool, sure. Who really should have a claim to Hangman? Hologram.
It's true. He's undefeated.
He'd wipe the floor with Paige. I think that's why they're holding off on that one.
That could be.
Jay White is still injured. Jay White would have been perfect.
Yeah, Jay
But
White
he's
would
still
have been
injured.
good. He and Hangman always have good matches, too.
But, yeah, dude, I don't know. Are they lacking in... I know he's got his eye set on a different championship, but you got Kyle Fletcher out there.
Yeah.
Takeshita.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are names that if you put them in kind of the main event now and have them lose, people have them thinking that they're main event guys.
Yeah. We mentioned Toni Storm had a championship celebration. She's up in the mezzanine. Says, this whore that you all adore, this slut you can't rebut, this bitch you want to itch, this skank you want to spank, this trollop you can't wallop, this tramp is still the champ.
Larson, I never thought I'd heard those words out of your mouth.
She says, Mercedes Money, thank you for going all in with me. We did everything we set out to do, but in case you forgot, I did say before that if you made one false move, I would eat you alive. Well, darling, you were delicious. Now, if you want to come back for seconds, and I'm sure you will, from my lips to yours, this buffet is always open, darling. Now, I'm sad to announce that Luther was injured in the line of duty. I can't tell you what happened, but requires reattachment surgery.
Ooh.
And she says, and now my tits are pointing to the future. There are so many people with the knives out, and well, I ought to be careful now because this is the big one in this company, in this business. One on this planet, I guess, and then she's interrupted on the Tron by Billy Starks and Athena. And Athena says, I'm the symbol of fear, the forever Ring of Honor champion. And no one cares. Remember, no one's going to care to remember about you soon because I'm going to be forever AEW champion. She says, Luther, I'm so sorry. And Mina, too. I took her hand off with one O-face. So that means no one is left to save you when I execute this contract. So what's it going to be? Are you going to die in Chicago and London tonight? Tony, it's time to stop looking for your happy endings because your demise is here. And so Tony says, very well. Well, if you're ready, I'll be sweaty. If you're willing, I will be thrilling. And if you're able, I will bend you over the table because I am timeless.
Oh, man. I'm looking at some of the other names here on the AEW roster. What about Mr. Mayhem himself, Ward Lowe?
Apparently he was around this last weekend.
He can come out in his American Gladiators outfit.
There you go.
He has he shows up with the portable version of the tennis ball thing.
The tennis ball launcher, yeah. So then
Roosh would have been cool.
Yeah, but they don't do anything with him.
Yeah, they need to. It's weird, right?
Yeah. He's a super fun wrestler. He is super fun.
Yeah, he always beats up people for real.
Yeah, he works very stiff.
Yeah, he seems like a real alpha.
Speaking of real alphas, Don Callis comes out the stage to introduce Okada ahead of his match against local enhancement talent. And Okada's got a new theme.
Oh, I love this. I loved it. It's got lyrics. It's like pop punk.
Yeah.
Okada's got a pop punk. Somebody in our somebody mentioned who this was. Let me see if I can. Let's see here. View channel, because I know somebody pointed out. Oh, I want you guys to talk about that new theme. So Larson,
it wasn't. Yeah.
You're going to talk about new theme.
It's going to take a while to get used to. I'll say that. It's going to take a while to get used to.
One OK Rock.
I've never heard of them before.
Well, I mean, that's not so. Yeah. Well, it's a Japanese rock band.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it's going to take a while.
If it was like Linkin Park, you'd have been like, fuck them.
It's too bad that Okada they didn't license "Break Stuff" by Limp Bizkit, and then that'd be all on board.
That is a bummer. That is. Oh, damn! Can somebody put that together and send it to us on Twitter? That'd have been
Just
sick.
one of those days. Feel like a freight train. Anyway, so Okada wins pretty quick. Callis gets in the ring, says Okada has something important to say, so he hands Okada the mic, and Okada says, "Swerve, you screwed my friends, the Young Bucks, you bitch." This brings out Swerve. He gets to the ring, gets right in Okada's face, and he lifts up Okada's hand, which still has a mic in it, so he can speak. He says, "Yeah, I did do that. What are you going to do about it, bitch?" And Callis pulls Okada back, and they take
Okada punks out. Gets out of there, yeah.
Yelp.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, Swerve looked great. What was that? The deal with that suit he was wearing?
Oh yeah, it was like...
It looked like it was made of a galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say bedazzled, but that undersells it. It was like little rhinestones or something all up in it.
Yeah. No, somebody had it. Hold on a second. Somebody actually had the clothing manufacturer. Looks like it was made by Alpha Male LLC.
Oh, this would be the gosh darn... You know who didn't look like Alpha Males last night with the Young Bucks?
No, man. They look like Beta Energy because they show up in a fucking Uber.
Yeah, they have to carry their own luggage.
You know, they were both hilarious. They really were. There's something about Nick Jackson's face, though, that just absolutely cracks me up. He always comes off like he's not trying. He's so genuine, and he's so damn funny. I don't know what it is about that energy he's got. It's just so low key, but it's so goddamn funny.
And it's one of those things that absolutely works way better when he's a heel.
Oh, 1,000%. Matt
when he's
always
a face, he seems disinterested.
Matt always comes off good guy or bad guy, like he's just trying. And with Nick, it's so effortless. Like it just doesn't seem like he's trying. It's great. So Renee tries to interview them while they're looking for their locker room. And she's like, "Hey," she's all, peppy. She's like, "How do you feel about your match at All In? You lost your EVP positions." And Matt's like, "Look, man, we're just looking for our locker room." And they're like, "Hey, Marina, what's up?" And she just walks away and like, God. And they walk to a door, and a production crew member is crossing off the word E, or the acronym EVP from their locker room door. And then Ricochet and his crew walks up. He's like, "Sucks to be you, ha ha!" And then they leave. Callis steps in because they're like, "Man, we made this company. Everybody's just dumping on us." And he's like, "It's a shame. The Bucks lose one match, and this company starts treating you like jobbers." He says, "Well, now that Kenny Omega's dead, we could do some real business." And Matt's like, "Listen, we are never going to join your family, but yeah, we can use some friends around here." And Don's like, "Yeah, friends? I got 14 people in my faction." And then they all hug. And then the Young Bucks make their entrance for their match. And they go out there and they do the thing, the pose, and then they look and they're like, "Come on, pyro. There's no pyro. And then somebody changed their Tron. It's got like Comic Sans font. It says no EVP, EVP crossed out.
It has Matt and Nick Jackson rather than Matthew and Nicholas.
Right. It shows B-roll from their loss at All In. Yeah. And then there's B-roll of them getting out of their Uber just from earlier in the night. Yeah.
And so it's a tag match. It's them and Alexander and Hechicero taking on Jet Speed, Bandito and Brody King. So they're setting up at one point for a EVP trigger on Kevin Knight, and so they call for it and they stop because they're not EVPs anymore, and it allows Kevin Knight to hit him with drop kick. Anyway, so the finish this match, especially towards the end, was crazy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And the Young Bucks helped their team get the win. So Bandito hits Nick with a knee, looks for a 21 plex. Alexander breaks it up. And then the Young Bucks, in really creative ways, hit a bunch of super kicks on Bandito. I can't even really describe it. There's one point where Hechicero kind of does an up kick to Bandito's back. So it's like a pop-up double super kick thing. It was crazy. So then Hechicero locks a sleeper on Bandito. He passes out because it looks like Hechicero's getting a Ring of Honor title opportunity. Fun match. Then we had a $100,000 four-way match. Tekla, Queen Aminata, Statlander, and Willow were in this one. Looks like they got something going here with Sky Blue, Julia, and Tekla because Sky and Julia come out to help Tekla get the win. Sky distracts Julia. Miss Aminata. Tekla falls with a stomp on Aminata to get the win.
Yeah, new faction being set up right there for Tekla, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat to see.
That is cool.
Her branding is so great. All their branding is so great. Everybody in this match is branded really well. My goodness.
Yeah. Speaking of good branding, let's talk about the legend Cope.
Bro, the most significant thing about this is that he confirmed that AEW is trying to contract tamper. Because he's like, when I got cleared to step foot in a wrestling ring, who were the first two people I called when I found out? FTR. They started talking about rated FTR and winning the trios titles, and that's when I was signed to a different company.
They all talked about it.
Yeah. He was like, we were all talking about that, and that's when I was in a different company.
You know, speaking of boomer energy, there's a lot of boomer energy in this Cope promo here.
Older Gen X. Older Gen X.
I know he's older Gen X, but I'm saying it was boomer energy.
Yeah, it was. It was. Because Gen X energy is like, we don't care.
Yeah,
you're right. This is definitely boomer energy.
This was boomer energy because he wants to end FTR. He didn't come back because he's like, the question is, do they come back to save Christian? No, he's an asshole, and he details a lot of the reasons why he thinks that. He says he doesn't blame Nick Wayne, Kip Sabian, and Shayna Wayne for doing what they did. He said, I told Christian this was gonna happen.
Yep.
He says, no, I came back at All In to get my hands on FTR. That's what he talks about when he got cleared. He called up FTR to get him in ring shape. And he says, but they took 4 months from me. He says, that may not sound like a lot, but when every match could be my last, 4 months is a lot. So I didn't come back to wrestle. I came back to end FTR. So FTR's music hits, and then Stokely makes his entrance with a security detail. So they all get in the ring. And Stokely says, well, you want revenge. Here's the deal. Because you brought Spike to the ring, that's a liability. He talked to Tony Khan, and AEW received 3 anonymous emails about your behavior moving forward. If you interfered FTR's matches or try to attack them, you're fired, Cope.
Mm-hmm.
Says FTR, they want to focus on the AEW tag titles. And he says, Cope, why don't you find a hobby and leave FTR alone? So Cope says, well, he said I can't get close to FTR, but he didn't say anything about getting near you. And so Stokely pushes a couple of security guards towards Cope. He fends them off. Stoke turns around to see the other security guards run off, and then he turns into a spear.
Yeah, good looking spear right there. I doubt he cracked any ribs there for Stoke. Edge confirmed. Alpha male.
Safest spear.
Safe spear. Very safe spear.
Very safe. So then later
even
on,
Braun Breaker at the speeds he spears people.
I haven't heard of him breaking anybody's ribs.
Nope.
Is Little Nate taking the spear for Braun yet?
I don't think so. I don't think so
either.
We can look into that, though.
We could look at that. So next, Patriarchy have a promo. They just kind of explain why they turned on Christian. Shayna Wayne is kind of taking the leadership role here in this faction.
Kip has also taken some amount of, I like Kip got to talk because he doesn't really talk. And he got to say, you know what? I did some of this. Some of this was my deal. And then, Shayna did, she did a lot of talking. And then
she
Nick
made a joke about Christian having erectile dysfunction.
Well, at a certain age, No, he's an alpha male. I don't believe that. And then, Nick says, he says, you know what? You forget that I'm only 20 years old. He said, the question isn't how many titles I've won. It's how many I'm going to win, how much better I can get. He's like, you created this monster. Now you all have to live with me as the new face of TNT, the new face of AEW now and forever.
Yep.
That was a strong showing. I don't know how strong they're going to be booked as a faction, but Nick Wayne is a hell of an investment. The guy clearly, he'll probably have to leave and come back a couple times because he's only 20 and you don't want to get too stale. Yeah. But he's off to a great start. He really is.
He is. Then we had Hurt Syndicate promo from right after All In. MVP starts. It says, I'm tired of begging for one of these legendary tag teams to step up and take these titles from us. Stop being scared. It's getting boring. So MJF follows and just more or less says, I'm happy Hangman won at All In because getting that title off Mox is going to be easy. With Paige, he says, I don't even need to use this contract. I'm going to be in the middle of my ring. He describes himself as the physical embodiment of Hangman's depression. He says he's going to push Hangman back into the pit of despair. He says, Hangman, you can be the main character all you want. I got no problem being the bad guy because last time I checked, good guys finish last. And then Mark Briscoe has a promo.
Oh, I love this part. He's like, I got a thought. Something acts like a duck, walks like a duck. Well, talks like a duck. It's probably a duck. Similarly, if something acts like a bitch, talks like a bitch, walks, talks, acts like a bitch, it's probably a bitch. I don't know. I fucked that one up, but I thought it was great.
But then he says, MJF, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
And like
MJF,
a bitch.
you're a bitch. And then he says, all in, you invoke my brother's spirit, the chaos. MJF, I'll make you pay for your sins. So yeah, that led to the main event stuff.
Yeah.
And then we had Kyle Fletcher versus Mascara Dorada.
This match was tons of fun.
Yeah, this was rad. And then Fletcher got the win, of course, the Brainbuster. And then he gets on the mic and he says, my life's mission is to take everything away from, hey, Dustin Rhodes.
Hey,
I'm the 10th champion now. So come on, I'm last of my kind.
He actually did pick up a mic. He just said it to camera.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he just got like deep into the camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you can find me on Collision, son.
Yeah.
Last of my kind.
And then we also had NXT.
We definitely had an NXT this week.
We had an NXT. I guess we can just get into it.
Oh man, we're just stuck in a spot here because it's like, there's too much and there's not a lot going on.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it because, like, Josh Briggs is in the title picture and he just really hasn't been doing much.
I mean, dude, we've been saying for months that their main event, their men's title scene is just not deep at all. And so now you got Inamura, who I like Inamura. I think he's great. You know,
yeah.
I love his splash. I think he's so much fun.
Yeah,
but he hasn't,
really fun wrestler.
He hasn't been built as a real title guy.
And that's the thing is, outside of maybe Javon Evans, they have spent zero time building anybody up to be like a serious contender to Oba.
I think they had a chance. They actually did have a chance with how they debuted Jasper Troy. They could have made that into like a 3-month thing. Like, oh shit, now they're taking it to a cage match. Oh, now they've got some stipulations. They end up with a last man standing or something like that.
Yeah.
Really establish that Jasper Troy is a dude. You know, what if they have Jasper Troy just do one of those things where in their first match, he just gets DQ'd because he catches Oba in some way, shape, or form, and he gets DQ'd because he's beating the shit out of him too much. And it's like, Oba's like, oh gosh, you know, this guy actually is violent. Yeah. And they explore that somehow. And then, you know, Oba is able to, you know, dole some violence back in a last man standing match. And so it's like this Jasper Troy guy, he's new, he won LFG. Let's put him on the map. And instead, like, yeah, they had a good match. And then he lost to Inamura.
Yeah.
And then he lost to Javon Evans.
He's probably going to lose to Ricky Saints next week.
Yeah, they don't have the depth. And so it's just like, it's kind of a bunch of nothing there.
Yeah. Yep.
And at the same time, you don't have a strong women's title anchor. You know, it's like we all kind of know JC's a transitional champion. And it's like, that's no disrespect intended. But when you've got like Saul, Blake, Jordan, and none of them are champion, and you just offloaded Roxanne, Stephanie, and Julia, it's like, okay, so what road are we going to take so that your next actual champion is going to come through and be able to anchor your segments?
Yeah.
It's just, it's a mess. Even like in this one, it's just sort of a mess of people coming out being like, oh, I can beat you because the most beatable champion there is.
Yeah.
Even Masha Slamovich is getting into the mix because she's got a match at Slammiversary.
Yeah. So Fatal Influence opened the show. There's talk about what happened over this past weekend. Saying JC shocked the world again. They get interrupted by Masha. She says the only reason JC's still holding the NXT women's title is because Blake Monroe smashed Jordan Grace in the back with that title on Sunday. She says, I'm going to shock the entire world, become the first TNA wrestler to hold that title, the NXT Women's title. JC says Masha's never going to touch this title. She'll leave Sunday with both of them, and she'll be the only one there with 2 titles. This brings out Saul Ruka. And Zarya, Saul mentions, hey, I have 2 titles. She actually had the Speed title.
Yeah, dude, man. So, like, Saul's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Saul is such a gem. And honestly, they probably need to start running with her as, like, big champ. If you want to do anybody with the double title thing, it's Saul.
Yeah.
She is special.
Yeah.
They did this thing with her. I guess they came up with like a custom North American title where just the strap, it's got like all sorts of cool, like sort of late 80s, early 90s patterns and designs on it.
That's neat.
It's kind of like surfer skater looking.
Yeah.
And then on the back, like it's like she did like this whole painting on the back. And they have it up for auction right now. Last I checked, it was for $8,000 because it's a one of a kind because she actually hand painted on it.
Yeah.
I wish they would manufacture it and have her carry that as the North American title. But she comes out. She's just the coolest fucking person alive. Mm-hmm. She has like the Speed title and they're linked, so they're like it's like a sash kind of on her.
Yeah.
She's something special, man. She's great.
She's great. So Saul says, I'm going to put my money on anybody this weekend. It's Masha. Zarya says Saul was the MVP of this past weekend. She had 3 matches, and unlike Fatal Influence, says we don't need to talk to make a statement. We just get in the ring. Brawl breaks out. Face is clear. Fatal Influence out of the ring. In our main event, we get Fatal Influence versus Masha, Saul, Ruka, and Zarya. One point, the culling comes ringside. Saul and Zarya go after Izzy and Tatum. Hank and Tank, honk, honk. Come ringside. They start brawling with Nico and Spears. That brawl goes all the way up the ramp, and then Masha basically single-handedly wins the match. Hits Jasmine and JC with kicks. Hits a snowplow on JC to get the win.
Yeah. Masha's got such a presence. I just wish that they had kept up the kayfabe on her accent. You know, I know I make fun of like Obafemi sometimes because it's that joke is more because this dude is going to be a major deal in WWE, and the idea of a performer having to keep up a kayfabe accent just tickles me to death. You know, it just cracks me up. But when Masha first debuted in TNA, she would rarely talk.
Yeah.
And when she would, sometimes she'd be talking, I think, in Russian. Mm-hmm. And she would have that. And somewhere along the way, I did a little bit of research a while ago, and I kind of forgot the sequence of events, but I don't think it was that long ago. That she ditched the accent. And maybe it was her choice. And hey, I can respect if you got reasons for that.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of like me watching her now versus then, it's like she had such an aura about her back then. Mm-hmm. And some of that I think is gone with her just talking like a normie. But yeah, Masha she's still got a pretty decent aura around her.
Yeah. And then in other TNA NXT crossover news, we had Trick teaming up with Joe Hendry and Santana, his 2 opponents at Slammiversary, to battle Dark State. And this match just fell apart at the end because the System shows up. We finally got Ed Edwards on NXT TV.
Honestly, shouldn't that be like in the thumbnail today?
Only if it was Werewolf Ed Edwards, Steve.
So if Werewolf Ed Edwards is like, he shows up as normal Ed Edwards, and then like, oh, he needs to kick it up a level, and then,
hey, there's a full moon out tonight. Go outside, Ed Edwards.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then he comes back in, marks some territory.
So, I mean, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but there was no finish to this match. Just the System came out and a huge brawl happened, right?
Yeah, because it spilled to the outside, and then System showed up.
So then later on, we got Team Undertaker from LFG backstage. They're talking about how they're going to be unstoppable this season. Trick then comes through and says, hey, get out of the way. And he says, y'all think you're on a hit show on A&E, but when the champ comes through, you don't have to move. You move. And then Trick leaves, and Undertaker calls one of the dudes on his team, and then he tweeted that he's going to confront Trick next week on NXT.
Now, see, this is what I'm talking about.
Is Undertaker going to be at Slammiversary to cost Trick the title?
Boy, that'd be a mind blower. You got this Shiloh Hill guy who already has some deep dark web lore that he's exploring on his YouTube channel.
That's right.
You bring him in, Jasper Troy. Some of these LFG dudes had some freaking, they had some presence about them. Mm-hmm. Honestly, like they just said, look, here's the deal. You fast track this. Sol Ruka, your women's champion. Mm-hmm. Javon Evans, your men's champion. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. You roll with them. They're so fucking cool, both of them. They're so fucking cool.
They are.
That's what you roll with. Anyways. Yep. So, yeah, that'd be cool. Undertaker. Oh, who would have thought TNA gets The Undertaker? Slammiversary.
What about rolling with Josh Briggs?
Like maybe 6 years ago when he was like the hot new thing from Evolve. Now, I don't know. So he shows up. He's like, at Great American Bash, I watched the opportunity of a lifetime get squandered.
Yeah, so he's talking shit about Inamura.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to, like, cheat to win.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, he's too nice. That's what he called me. He said, you're too nice. He said, I've been there 4 years. I haven't sniffed a title match. Inamura's too nice, and this is a cutthroat business. If you have the opportunity, you take the shot. And then Obafemi, the Rula, comes out. And he says, Saturday wasn't supposed to be about you, but your presence caused some issues, whether you were there or not. The ruler was always going to come out on top. But because of your involvement, people are questioning the validity of my victory. And Briggs, they just talk a lot. And then eventually they're going to do a triple threat. You see Oba's face, and he's like, another triple threat.
Yeah, man. He's got to be sick of these triple threats.
Yeah, but then I guess that's really going to happen. So,
yeah, it is. That's the match. Ricky Saints is still in NXT, so Ava booked him a match against Jasper Troy because Jasper Troy laid him out, hit him with a Bossman slam on a road case during his Falls Count Anywhere match with Ethan Page at Great American Bash. And Jasper says he's going to make Ricky bend the knee, then he's going to break him. And then we get Ethan Page USA-themed video package where he's talking about beating Ricky at Great American Bash and says, I deserve a celebration, but not tonight. It'll be next week in Houston. And then we get a Ricky Saints interview. And he says, yeah, Ethan won on Saturday. But, I didn't mention Jasper Troy. What Troy lacks in experience, he makes up for in rage. And that rage is going to cost him this match like it's already cost him others. Troy is going to find out that Ricky is everything he says he is. And that's absolute.
I am absolutely on ice until they call me up, hopefully in the draft
Seemingly.
after SummerSlam. But you never know. Looking at my phone, waiting for my call up like this.
Exactly. Is this a text from Triple H? No.
Does it say Stanford? No. Oh, man. We also had Jordan Gray. She's obviously upset with Blake Monroe. So Ariana Grace in the women's locker room says the Battle Royal was missing some royalty. And Carmen's like, yeah. And Callie Armstrong, the Evolved Women's Champion, steps in. Says, I should have been in that thing. And then Carmen challenges her to a match. So they have match. But Jordan Grace shows up and then DQs the whole thing and then gets on a mic and calls out Blake Monroe. She's like, explain yourself. Instead, we get a Blake Monroe video package. It was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, this was actually pretty funny because it was like, breaking news, Blake Monroe despises everything about Jordan Grace.
Yeah, right. It's in that, the sing-song type thing that they did before. And then she says Blake is like in a bathtub and invites Grace to watch her singles debut next week, which is going to be against Ren Sinclair. And then she's like, you're going to see the difference between the two of us. Jordan gets pissed off, lays out Stone and Stevie, the Twitch streamer, then leaves, storms up the ramp, and is met by Ava and security. So I like that they're booking Jordan as like this big monster who people are afraid of, and she just come in and do whatever she wants whenever she wants. Yeah. I think that's strong stuff. And we also had the Tony D family triple threat.
We did. We had a series of video packages detailing the story of the Tony D'Angelo family. The ups, the downs, the highs, and the lows.
It's a big reminder that none of this stuff has been any good.
No. This match was solid, though. That finish was great.
Yeah, the match was actually really fun. Were you surprised at the outcome? If you were before the match, try to put yourself in the mind in the frame. Power rank who you thought would win this match before
Tony.
The match. You really felt Tony was going to win?
Tony stacks Luca in that order. Luca had no chance. Either Tony would win, Stacks would win by cheating,
yeah,
or some accident would happen and Luca would win.
Yeah. I think honestly, look, I'll be completely honest with you. And again, this illustrates why I surround myself with alpha males because I'm not one. And you just got that power ranking perfectly, Larson. I would have gone Luca stacks Tony. Because Luca needs it more than anybody. He's the new guy. He just bet on himself, so he needs this.
It's a way to look at it. He didn't eat the pin.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
did eat the pin. That was Stacks. So the finish saw, of course, the crowbar gets introduced. It's on the floor. Luca and Stacks are kind of fighting over it, but then Tony ends up spearing Stacks through. You know, they have the little platform there ringside. And sometimes they put the fake wall there. Well, it was there today, and Tony spears Stacks through there. Then he chucks him out of the cavity there. Hits a spine buster on Luca through the announce table, and then in the ring hits a spine buster on Stacks to get the win.
Yeah, no, it was a really good match. I don't mean to downplay it, and plenty of the Tony D stuff I have enjoyed. I just like to talk shit. This is actually the storyline that I'm kind of most invested in on NXT, and that's the no quarter catch crew. Because hey, there's two other people in this segment I think have such a high ceiling based off of their like just character interaction backstage. That's Tavion Heights. Mm-hmm. We didn't see a lot of him early on in terms of what this guy could do as a character. But seeing his interaction with Ren Sinclair and how much genuine dynamic he has as a character and what he says, I think this dude I think he's got the potential to go really far. I really do.
Yeah, same.
So backstage he asked Ren, and Ren Sinclair similarly, she just has that genuine thing. One of my issues with NXT is so much of it has cornball acting.
Yeah.
And we noted this last week with Rizzo, where it's like her shit's kind of not cornball. It comes off as pretty, even with the silly accent. Mm-hmm. Hey, if that's the way she actually talks, I apologize. It's not a silly accent. It's just the way she talks. But it kind of has that, Goodfellas thing to it. Ren comes off as so genuine. Mm-hmm. And you can tell, like, the crowd really likes her, even though they barely use her for anything.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, why'd you throw in the towel? It's like, dude, he was wrecking your knee. She's like, I did it because I care about you, and Charlie wasn't going to let up. She's like, you're a badass, but I'd rather you tear a muscle, or
would you rather tear a muscle than stay in the NQCC? Yeah.
Right. And he's like, man, I want to get out on my own like Miles. And then Charlie steps in. He's like, hey. And Tavion's like, look, you won. Good job. Little interference, but you won. And he's like, oh, we can have another match next week. And Ren's like, well, we're busy next week. He's like, what? Doing what? She's like, I'm taking on Blake Monroe in Texas. And Charlie's like bummed out by it. And Tavion's like, yeah, no. Let's table our stuff so we can support her.
Yep.
I'm like, this is actually the one little thing about NXT that I'm like, oh, you know what?
Too.
I'm into this. Yeah.
Me too.
Especially that match last week. That was fucked up, man. That stuck with me. Charlie Dempsey just trying to end this guy's career, and he's in his stable. It's messed up.
We also had a Lash Legend interview. She's talking about being in the Battle Royal, being one of the final two. She says, I'm going to follow Evolution by greeting the NXT TNA double champ, and then Jada Parker walks in and says, you weren't the only one that made an impression at the Battle Royal. And I had everybody chanting my name, so I'll be the one that confronts either JC or Masha.
I kind of feel, dude, that like Jada, like Lash, I kind of understand because I feel like they had plans for her to bring her up with the Jakara. Then the release happened, and so it's kind of starting over a little bit with Lash. Maybe it'll be the draft. Seems like it should be the draft. Mm-hmm. But Jada Parker and Lola Vice, I feel, are also two names that it's like you could have really rolled with them in a bigger way than you have.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just a matter of you got way too many quality pieces that you kind of just don't know what to do.
That could be.
And there's always the threat of like who's getting called up, who's not getting called up. I'm sure the logistics of NXT for HBK is probably a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it probably is.
But, I don't know. Apologies to the hardcore NXT fans out there if you're not satisfied with our review of it.
And finally here, Tatum's backstage and she's upset. And so the rest of the culling walks up and Tatum says, oh, I'm worried you're going to be mad at me. And Izzy's like, I'm not mad at you. We're always going to be friends. And Tatum goes, really? I don't think anybody's ever said that to me before. I have an idea. And that's probably how the main event played out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
And that was your NXT.
That is your NXT. Let's go and answer a couple questions here.
Did you put question threads up?
That's going to do it for the show today, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I mean, look, we got an hour 50. We did the what do you want to talk about, which is kind of, that's engagement right there.
We'll answer questions tomorrow.
This is why you're the alpha male. I surround myself with alpha males.
I'm tired of this alpha male nonsense, all right? It's run its course. We've milked the alpha male jokes for all we can.
Right. So what you're saying is, let me just make sure, as the alpha male here, you're saying we should beat the dead horse and carry it into the next month.
No. At the conclusion of this episode, we drop it entirely.
Any last alpha male jokes, Larson?
Oh, my gosh.
All right. Consider the alpha male joke dead. Till next time, everybody. We'll see you around.
Goodbye.